Hey guys, it's Christy and I'm here today to do a sort of wrap up of books that I've read from the months of January to March. I am a very avid reader, as I've mentioned before, but I haven't really been reading as much as I'd like to. So I just have a few books to share with you guys, and we're gonna start off with the first book that I read this year. After by Anna Todd. So this is a fan fiction based on, I think, Harry Styles from One Direction. I personally didn't read it for that reason. I happened to see it in Barnes & Noble and I was like, oh wow, this is a pretty big book, and I like to start the year off with like pretty hefty books. I feel like it just gets my reading going. So I read the back and I was like, ooh, this sounds really good. Kind of reminded me of Beautiful Disaster storyline, the good girl, the bad boy, all the crap that happens in between. This was a really good book if you just take it for what it is. I mean, I didn't think about Harry Styles and whatever as I was reading it. I just thought of Hardin and Tessa and their story. Sometimes you just want to like shake them both and like, what are you thinking? But overall, I thought this was a really good book. It was so good that I jumped right into After We Collided, which is the second book, also by Anna Todd, obviously. It is even heftier if imaginable, and I thought it was great. I flew through it. I wanted to shake the characters multiple times because seriously, if you read the series, you know it's kind of frustrating, but so good. Like really, really so good. And I do suggest reading it if you're into the new adult romance genre. It has a little bit of some steamy scenes, you know, not for the younger children out there, but yeah, after I read those two, I started reading the third book, and I just needed to put it down because I couldn't deal with the drama anymore. It was driving me insane. So I just wanted something like really quick to read, and I decided to pick up Mob Daughter by Karen Gravano. Looks like this. I really love the show Mob Wives. I'm kind of addicted to it. It's one of my guilty pleasures. So I figured I'd give her book a look at. It was on clearance at Barnes & Noble, so that was partly why. But I flew through it. The writing, you know, it's not that great. But the story itself, I thought, if you just take the story for what it is, kind of like with the after books, it's pretty good. I enjoyed myself. I flew through it. I don't know if I'd recommend it, but it was alright. The next book that I picked up is one that I was so excited that this book was coming out. We Should Hang Out Sometime. Embarrassingly, a True Story by Josh Sundquist. Oh man. Like, first of all, can we just look at this cover? It is amazing. And Josh Sundquist, oh, you are amazing. And I mean, like, the back is so cute. It's it's just a couple of really funny pickup lines, and then he crosses them out. So, I lost my number. Can I have yours? Want to rearrange the alphabet and put you and I together? And then just straight up, would you like to go out with me? And then he crosses all them off and just says, we should hang out sometime. So this is a story based on his life. He's, you know, trying to figure out why his past relationships, or like semi relationships, didn't work. It's a long time past these relationships, and you know, he'll get in touch with the girl and be like, hey, we should hang out sometime. He hangs out with them and he tries to figure out what went wrong. Why is he still single? There are some parts that are just absolutely hilarious, and then there's some parts that like made me a little sad for him. I'm getting even emotional just thinking about it. Either way, this is an amazing book. I highly, highly, highly recommend it. I mean, there's not much more I can say about it. And next I read Gone Girl by Gillian Flynn. Sorry about the glare, it's a little bit much, I know. This is a reread. I had a really hard time getting into another book after I read Josh Sundquist's book. Thanks, Josh, for making such an amazing book that I couldn't get out of it. I featured this in my February favorites as my book favorite of the month. It's a great book. It was even better the second time around, honestly. I devoured it, loved it. I will probably be reading it again. I'm not going to go into like detail about what it's about because I feel like everybody already knows and has read it or has seen the movie. I still have not seen the movie, but I will. The book was great. I also suggest picking up her other books too because I've read all 3 of her books and they're all pretty amazing. Now, the next couple of books I took out from the library, and we'll start off with Veronica Mars, an original mystery by Rob Thomas and Jennifer Graham. This is the second one, Mr. Kiss and Tell. It looks like this. I absolutely love Veronica Mars. I wish the show was still on. I have the movie on my DVR and I won't take it off because I love her. I love the storyline. It was great. Highly recommended if you're into Veronica Mars. Clearly, I would start with the first book, which I read last year. Well, whenever it came out, I read that. Great book. The next book I read was Zack and Mia by A.J. Betts. Wow, this book... Okay, so at first, I was loving it. I was almost reminded of The Fault in Our Stars, and of Fault in Our Stars. I would highly recommend picking it up. It's just a beautiful story. It's beautifully written. It's about a boy who is, you know, in the, I'm pretty sure it's the ICU, and he is getting a bone marrow transplant. He pretty much has been on the ward for like the longest time, and one day this new girl shows up. Her name's Mia and she's in the room next door. They build this relationship that's really, I don't know, it's really odd because it's not really a relationship, but like it is a relationship and whatnot. They get out of the hospital, don't hear from each other for the longest time. All of a sudden she just shows up randomly like, oh hey, here I am, and the story goes on from there. It was beautiful. I would highly recommend picking that book up. The next book I read was I Don't Want to Be Crazy by Samantha Schultz. Or Schutz. Okay, I'm not good at pronouncing, but on the side, it looks like that. I woke up one night, I couldn't sleep. I was like, I'm just gonna pick up a book from the library and read it. I read this, I flew through it. It's written in verse, so it's like really easy to just fly through. I thought it was a great book. I mean, yeah, there's not much I can say about it. I thought it was great. I would definitely pick it up. Yeah. I'm not very good at describing books, if you couldn't tell. Other than, hey, I liked it, or hey, I didn't like it. The writing was okay. The writing was really good. It was beautiful. Yeah, so I'm going to work on that for you guys. But the last book that I read from January, February, and March is Not That Kind of Girl by Lena Dunham. A young woman tells you what she's learned. Looks like that. It was my March favorite. She is so funny. Lena Dunham, I love the show Girls, so I obviously wanted to read her book when I found out that she wrote a book. It was hilarious. quite inappropriate at times, but it was really funny. I enjoyed it. It was lighthearted, quick, easy read. It is a good book to read after you read something that really like pulls on the heartstrings, because she makes you laugh. She's funny. She's just a very a very funny and open person. During the month of March, I really just wanted to read a lot of funny like books that were gonna put me in an upbeat mood, because the weather has been really crappy where I live, and you know, when the weather's crappy, sometimes people's moods start to get like really blah, and I was at that point where I just wanted to read funny books. I wanted to like laugh out loud, and I laughed out loud so many times while reading this book that it was wonderful. I highly suggest reading that. Of course, it has very inappropriate parts, so I wouldn't suggest it for the younger readers, but for us older readers, if you like the show Girls. It's so funny though, because I was reading parts of the book and I'm like, wow, this sounds so familiar, and I'm like, wait a minute, wasn't that a scene from the show Girls? It definitely was a scene. Things were changed, but it was definitely a scene from the show Girls. If you like girls, pick up Lena Dunham's book and you will not be disappointed. So I'll do these kind of videos once, probably every 3 months or so. But I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I hope you got a little something out of it. Pretty much I recommend all the books that I read other than the Mob Wives book, because yeah, it was alright, whatever. I will see you guys again soon. Bye.